how we wait. Alright, you gonna cooperate with me today, YouTube? Please say yes. It looks like the answer is yes. Greetings everyone, I am Dr. J, and I was way early to stream yesterday, so clearly that means I naturally have to be late on streaming today. Despite the fact that being late today means that I have another night where I'm not getting as much sleep, but that's beside the point. So, what's there to worry about today? Well, we've got more for Pillars of Eternity to see too. So last week, I'm trying to remember why we were here in this workshop, honestly, because we had made a decent amount of progress getting close to, getting close to entering into Durgan's battery. But now, given the circumstances, that's why we're here. Elvino, we are looking for the man himself. So, I believe, if I recall correctly, given the fact that we found all sorts of weird experiments, especially over here, my thought was, okay, you know what, I don't know what's behind this door, this is a pretty big area, and it's gotten pretty late for me, so we're gonna come to this later. Now I'm remembering now. Okay, I'm good to go. Let's go get ourselves good and moitered.
I'll see what I can find.
Oh, I'm remembering why I had problems now, because I had serious issue dealing with the unstable constructs. Because if I'm going to take them out, I need to take them out first and foremost before they give me all sorts of problems.
Hey there.
Yep, that's why. I was in range for that?
Hey there.
Well, luckily, if those are the only enemies we triggered, we're fine. But if I'm not mistaken, there's more lying further in, so let's
Easy does it.
activate fast mode so that our nonsense gets active a little sooner. Stick my neck out to grab that. Alright, maybe that's why. Oh yeah, I think I remember dealing with those, because I believe that was the other reason why I decided to hold off. Oh dear, that's a lot. And I'm already getting shot at. Excellent. These guys look tough, so let's go ahead and activate the big guns. Just preemptively. Ow. That misshapen construct is really starting to hurt. I'm gonna go chase after him. Well, luckily, if it's something that seems more geared toward being obnoxious in terms of ranged combat, that means I'll naturally have an easier time with other combat. Ow, am I not dead after all this? Endurance, a little help. Never mind. Can you just kill it now? Not quite. Okay, you two focus it then. Alright, we need to deal with this thing. Give it this. There we go. Easily dealt with. Burning flesh construct. Is that why there's a bunch of damage over time on a bunch of us? Alrighty.
Makes you rest easier.
There we go.
And what does the flame reveal?
Subject roster. This paper contains a loose list of errand personages separated by dates. Let's see. The Dawn Dog, Long Watch Falls, Bandit. Wow, I'm not even going to try and to know how to pronounce that. Some smuggler. Murderer, nice Folkstag. Murderer, nice hair. Rittlingsdag, idiot who tried to knife me. Under the list is a note in a different hand. Die Verusdevil, just give me numbers. That's comforting. So I heard something coming from here. Viscous green liquid seeps from a crack in the glass tank. It exudes a strong chemical odor that is almost painful to inhale. That's lovely.
What do you suppose that bally thing is?
A target for us. Alright, so we've got 2 misshapen and 2 iron. Let's lead with chain lightning. Adair's gonna rush this one. I'm gonna rush this one. Actually, you'll rush that one. And then you focus this one.
Yeah?
Well, I'm almost dead. I should have gotten out the big gun now that I think of it. Alright, burn it. Yeah, I'm not living through this.
What's the hurry? Let's relax a while.
Leave it.
We're gonna have to rest after this, so... What the hell? Oh, we stepped on that, huh? Step in the middle and then set this out. There we go, that should help. Alof, rip him to shreds. No holds barred anymore. That looked useful. Do it again. Down it goes. Okay, now we just have to keep the iron constructs busy for long enough to shred them.
Deal with.
Hey, you're close enough. Just stab him. Wait, how much damage was that? Well, however much damage it was, it looked useful. Down it goes. Down it goes. Shame that the trap experience was wasted, but that's okay.
Here, I shall listen for them.
That's unusual.
Alright. Potion of infused with vital essence. Remind me what that does? Extra endurance. That's useful.
Yeah?
Please let me out.
I'll have it in no time.
What's this gonna entail? Ha! Your money or your life, friend! A tiny voice rises from within the chest of this headless machine. From time to time, a burst of sparks accompanies the rattling of its innards. Excuse me? Get a little lost, did we? There's a toll on these roads. 500 copper or you'll have a new set of nostrils to breathe out of. I've come to help you. You're free of this place. Free? What are you on about? You're in a cell. Look around you. A philosopher, is it? All of us trapped within the cages of our own iniquity? I'll have none of that. There is a manic quality to the voice now, and you hear a harsh metallic whine from within the construct's frame. Just look at yourself. You're a broken Actually, but you're a construct. What? Is that some kind of insult? I'll show you a concept if you don't hand over your money. We're not on the road. You really are lost. Tell you what, pay up and I'll point you to Logholm. There's a decent trade, isn't it? What are you gonna do, kick me? For starters, you'll regret your jests once you're down in the mud. The construct suddenly lists sideways. Huh, that's odd. I swear I had my knife. I've always been very good with knives. Her voice takes on an edge of panic. Where are my hands? Where am I? What is happening? There's a sudden, harsh, metallic squeal, and the construct pulses with a fierce life as it lurches toward you.
That's it.
Oh, that's how I should have dealt with the broken constructs. Knock it over again.
What's the
Or
hurry?
don't.
Let's relax a while.
What the hell were people doing here?
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Oh boy, I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of this
Good thing
nonsense.
I sold most of my jewelry.
I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. So, 4 iron, 1 misshapen. Let's go behind a corner.
Hey,
Have a dare lure them out.
hey.
If we're lucky, we can draw out. Alright. Good. That worked. Now, while we're waiting, I'll chant this.
Tell me.
You prep this. You fireball. Actually, wait, that's... Actually, Dare's in range of that one. Holy what? I'm not sure what they just did, but it hurt. Well, that was explosive. Alright, sweep them. As for you, enable per rest abilities. Actually, everyone enable per rest abilities. We need to fight. This is going to be a tough fight. Now.
Looks like it hurt.
Yeah, this looks like it's doing a fair amount.
That looks like it hurt.
I hope it did then.
Lava ruby.
What the hell was that?
Just like an
Okay, these are no ordinary constructs, even with what we had. Oh god. This just got interesting. Okay, so I will want a more open area to fight them then. Hiding behind a corner like that isn't going to be a good idea. Unless I can somehow trigger all of them to burn their good stuff on someone who can get his health back quickly. Although, to be fair, I think that would apply to our barbarian friends. Maybe?
Hey there.
Hey.
Sure.
Either way, we need per rest abilities enabled, otherwise this is going to be hellish.
Sure.
Damn machine, will you repeat what I have to say? Wonder what that's supposed to mean. Will you repeat all I say? Strange. Do you have anything useful for this? That would hurt too many of allies. Man, you've got all sorts of creepy stuff. For now, just focus on that. Well, there goes her. Currents, what are you doing so far out? Heal yourself. then throw this out. Wait, is my character doing summoning spells?
Lava roof. Let's have it out! Lava roof, be on seat.
Oh man. Holy crap, the amount of damage dealt when I enable per rest abilities. Holy crap, that was amazing.
Hey there.
Aye?
Didn't even burn all that much in the grand scheme of things now that I look at this.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
The main laboratory. What is all this? Sparks crawl over the wires and plates of this machine, illuminating the innards with each burst of light. Tufts of hair are still stuck to the metal slats of this helmet. You spy dark smudges along the edge of the manacles. Oh, that's lovely. A number of switches. Oh, this looks like it'll be interesting. Subject, Baleseer. She has outdone herself with this one, Baleseer, a common robber with some natural talent for cipher abilities. It has gone to his head. The Bazo believes he is next down to Nino, I think. In any case, the world would be well rid of him. Still, he has yielded promising results. His mind is almost perfectly intact. I might even have been able to determine whether there is merit in his delusions about his soul lineage. But I mistake the foolish mistake of leaving the man's pistol on my work table. His essence is bound to the weapon rather than the body I undertook to build for him. Even bodiless, this fool seeks to trouble me. I have sealed him within one of the tanks. I will have to proof the machine against the free-roaming experiments while I think of a solution. Until then, I suppose I must endure the company while I work. Strange. You feel a faint, reedy voice. Hear a faint, reedy voice singing tunelessly. The lever seems to be locked in place for the moment.
That's gonna leave a scar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. This looks like it's gonna be fun. I am Pre Galvino. I will eat your heart, old man.
I am free. Galvino, I will eat your heart, old man.
Slow down. Got time to catch our breath?
Alright, what else could I use on you? Let's see what this does. Yeah, let's get some direct damage on him. Or at least attempt to.
The Baru beyond sea.
And it looks like it missed. Can you knock over a spirit? Attempt to.
Hey.
That was fun.
Hey there.
Bellstroke. Adventurers from all over Aora go to the living lands in search of fame and fortune. Antonino went to rob them. He had earned a reputation as a cunning thief in Biajepe, but a reputation is the last thing a cunning thief needs. So he left Biajepe and, indeed, the Valian Republics for fresh opportunities in the living lands, taking with him little more than his coin purse and a fresh exchange of small clothes. Unfortunately, Antonino soon learned that the hardened treasure hunters of the living lands were little like the plump merchants of the republics. Within a few weeks, he'd exhausted his meager supplies and had earned nothing for his suffering. Desperate, he stumbled across a rough-looking pair from the Deadfire Archipelago and begged to share their fire. They agreed too easily. When the bandits made their move, Antonino was ready. He snatched the pistol from one and fired on the other. With the first attacker advancing, he pulled the trigger again, only to hear a dull thud. When his assailant laughed, Antonino pulled back and struck the man's bald head with the pistol. The bandit collapsed, dead instantly. Antonino eventually became a successful and feared robber, and the subject of many campfire tables. Even as his fortunes increased, he kept the stolen pistol, a sturdy piece of case-hardened metal that served him throughout his career. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about whether I want to use it or not. Looks like there's even more off in this direction. Burning flesh constructs, unstable construct. Alright, let's lead with the fireball.
How may I help? That's how it's done.
That's right, explode! That seemed to do the job, although it looks like Aloth isn't feeling the mojo anymore. That's fun. Durance, keep the rest of us alive.
My mind.
You on per rest abilities? Yes, sir. Actually, wait, that's okay. There we go. I don't know how Aloth went down so quickly, but you know what? I'm gonna have a fun time sifting through all this
If
again,
secrets
aren't I?
whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Cool. More iron. Well, let's see, more iron constructs. Luckily, it's a singular iron construct, so it should be easy enough to deal with this one. And we're nearing the end. May as well have some fun. Whack. Why does my Sunland suck? That's not fair.
Laying low.
Ah, another chamber, huh? Someone's... Huh. Adjacent to the old.
I wonder what this is.
Bad news for me, apparently. Didn't expect that I need to rest so soon. At this rate, I'll have to double back somewhere. Disable construct. Move, 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 move. Okay, we're good, we're good. Is there a way to hold them in place? I think I do have a way of... Yes. And it didn't work. Alright, sacrificial lamb, go. Ooh. That might be the opportunity we need. Hit him. Why? Why would you explode there? That makes no sense. What? Is the explosion localized around the person? Well, either way.
Hey there.
That's BS.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Sure.
Oh, what was that? crumpled experimental notes. This crumpled piece of parchment was found jammed inside the faceplate of a construct. My efforts to instill even a child's intelligence in these creatures have all failed. Most cannot hold a quill, much less set thoughts to paper. I believed for some time that Subject 63 might have had a breakthrough during its lessons, but I discovered that it has simply been repeating my words without comprehension. These were not enlightened characters like while they wore their original skins. Perhaps their essence lacked a fundamental capacity for learning. I have put them to the test in more martial arts, but here too they falter without the benefit of true sentience. The devil, of course, delights in mocking them. It is like boasting of besting children at combat. If only I had my old machines.
I shall be discreet.
Another lever. Oh, now this gets interesting. I get the feeling that's where I need to go. First off, let's see what this does.
Hey there.
Okay, that allows us back. Good. That'll make things a little easier on us. Alright, let's try ensnaring everybody again this time. Well, ensnaring everyone again. Alright, Aloth.
That
Rip
looks
them
like
apart.
it hurt. There's no need for that.
Alright, one went down. Well, it looks like that was the right idea.
It's over.
What is the complaint over? Oh man, what exceptional rapier.
And what does the flame reveal?
A cell key. Okay, so... I wonder what to sell, though. Wonder what to sell. Alright, for now, though, let's... rearrange some of this. Because I don't need to keep all of this. That's useful. Oh wait, this must be stuff that we got from the ogre then. There we go. Keeps it to the minimum. Alright. Let's see what's in this workshop. Oh, this looks lovely. An elderly man hunches over a cluttered desk in the back of the workshop. His flesh is pulled tightly around thin, fragile-looking bones, except around his neck, where it hangs in loose waddles. He turns as you enter, a scowl already chiseled into his lined face.
Back again? I told you.
He hesitates, squinting at you from behind smudged and dusty spectacles.
Of course, a fresh fool to replace the last fools. What brings you stomping through my workshop, eh?
He draws his words out, looking you up and down. A sneer creeps across his face. I've got questions about Durgan's battery and the White Forge.
And an accent I hear too rarely around these stammering mountain folk. But you go straight to business. We appreciate that, don't we?
Huh, interesting. He turns to the bronze golem over his shoulder.
Anything for a breather from your endless yammering.
The voice echoes from within the golem. Aye, I've got a fancy for this one already.
Hear that, Timora? Another who would tolerate your barbs and insults.
Let's see how this goes.
But you come seeking the White Forge, like they all do. Boys with smooth cheeks and wild dreams. Girls with bright ribbons tied next to their scabbards.
His voice rises and falls with the sing-song of mockery.
Old men and women, too, seeking a final blaze of glory before they're snuffed out for another turn at the wheel. Sound familiar?
His smile is rigid as he looks at you, and the corner of his eye twitches. You've said all this before, I take it.
I have this conversation with every pig-headed swashbuckler those Postonagos and Stalwart send here. Go see Garvino, they say. Surely he'll help you.
Must have slipped their minds what a busy and important fellow you are.
In the silence that follows, the temperature in the room seems to drop. Galvino glares at her.
I should have let them stone you. Would have silenced your endless rattling forever.
The hanging folds of skin beneath his neck tremble.
Then you'd have naught but those frostbitten inbreds for company.
I guess this is what it'd be like if Aloth and Isilmir were two separate people. Come now, I sound nothing like either of them. Mr. Gavino, I would really appreciate your help. Please.
Of course you would. What would anyone here do without me?
He breaks off, looking suddenly startled. Galvino pauses long enough to take a deep breath. He folds his hand and bows his head.
Sientere. It has been a long time since anyone addressed me so.
He clears his throat before continuing.
The villagers and their adventurers hammer and pry at the battery as if they were laying siege to some moldering lord's keep.
He swats the air in front of his face.
But those stones were laid by some of the finest builders ever to have lived, disciples of Abidan in the truest sense. They will not fall by the whims of any kith. And the door itself, it is infused with living essence.
He holds his hands before him, and his eyes are wide with wonder. The dwarves themselves must have had a way of getting in.
Perfetto! This is the crux of the matter.
He claps his hand together.
The Pargrunen of Durgan's battery perished within their own keep, victims of a violent disagreement among their own commandants.
His mouth twists into a wicked grin.
Surely in the village you have heard stories, no? Disappearing caravans, tracks in the snow, screams from the high towers.
He pauses, watching your expression with a raconteurs. Raconteurs? What is that? Raconteur? Oh boy, am I learning more English today? Oh, apparently I have caps lock on. One who tells stories and anecdotes with skill and wit. Alright, fair enough.
The work of spirits still trapped in the battery, and a testament to those impenetrable walls.
He raps on the mortared stone of his own home.
But the door of the keep, the one the Pargrunen filled with essence, it was made to listen, to recognize its masters.
So I need the door to recognize me?
Traditional Optapo cultures revolved around language. Words revealed who they were and where they were from. That is why you need a Kandak.
He holds up a twitching finger. Ah, yes, I believe those are anthems of sorts.
That's the simple explanation. A Kandak is a statement of purpose, a declaration of identity. Each is unique to its stronghold.
Seal your door with a key of words and any liar can talk his way through. There's nothing built of words that won't break when the slightest stress is applied.
Thus, to enter a fortress like Durgan's battery, you would stand at the gate and recite its Kandak.
He spreads his arms, his face aglow. Thank you for sharing, that's very interesting.
Verus. A shame the Postonagos here cannot appreciate such elegance.
Wait, I just got a Steam achievement. Disposition? Attained rank 3 in at least 3 dispositions. Huh, interesting. I wonder which one that was.
To learn the Kandak, you must speak with one of the dwarves of Durgan's battery. A shame they are all dead, no?
He rubs his hands together, pacing.
But no doubt their souls live on in one or two of the villagers of Stalwart. Like fine wine poured into a cheap pot.
Derision curls his lips.
But to identify them, that is the first problem. You would need the skills of an animancer.
I'm a watcher. The golem swivels her head sharply toward you. Her mask of a face and the glass eyes behind it betray no emotion, but it seems as if she's watching you carefully.
A watcher? The Verus? If this is true, then you could find a sole descendant from Durgan's battery, no question. But the greater difficulty remains.
Galvino rubs his gaunt, whiskered cheeks.
You would have to learn the Cantic from the dormant soul. And to do that, you would have to awaken it.
But this awakening would be permanent, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes. Whoever you awaken will live with the memories and the personality of a past life. Maybe peacefully, maybe not.
His bony shoulders rise in a shrug.
That is why you must pay attention to the soul you would awaken, no? It is a monumental thing to impose on another, but these are the very people who wish to rediscover the White Forge, Verus?
He removes his spectacles and polishes the dirty lenses with his tunic. Ooh, that's a fun quandary, so... how would that work out then? So, in theory... I'm not sure how that would work out, honestly, because could I find someone willing to do it that would be willing to take the risk? And could I find someone for whom the awakening would be a, I guess, minimal burden? So the Cantic is all I need?
Who can say? None have yet opened Durgan's battery.
Galvino raises his hands, palms up.
But the ones that came before you, I think they got close. You may wish to find them and see what they discovered.
I found what's left of them. A journal and a tile.
Most interesting.
He adjusts his spectacles as he peers at the tile.
They spent many days at the battery door. This looks like something that once belonged there.
So how would I awaken someone?
An awakening is merely the jolting of a dormant soul into consciousness.
He makes a bursting motion with his hands, splaying his fingers wide.
When such things happen normally, it is because something has reminded the subject of a past life, often violently so.
So what happened to me? He smacks his workbench with surprising vigor. Aloth flinches.
Thus, to awaken one of the former dwarves of Durgan's battery, you will need to address that soul, and preferably by name.
He folds his hands together, steepling his fingers.
But show some care. When you examine these souls, whatever it is you watchers do, you may see images, memories.
He leans forward, his back hunched.
These are moments of special import. What you see will tell you much about the person, and perhaps the condition in which they awaken.
He raises his hoary eyebrows and tilts his head back.
Awaken them from a traumatic memory, and who knows? Maybe they awaken thirsty for blood. Or maybe you awaken someone else.
Yeah, that's the concern, isn't it? Eleanor, you mustn't do this. To condemn others to a fate like Merwald's. He shakes his head.
Here, this has been tuned to the Aeon of Durgan's battery. Use it near the villagers, and it should tell you if one has a soul old enough to have come from the battery.
He rummages around and produces an unfamiliar device. I see. Thank you for your help. He dismisses the thought with the wave of a hand.
It is a pleasure to have such a courteous guest for a change. A shame you must dirty your boots in Stalwart.
I'm going with him.
The golem looks between you, her neck turning on its oiled joints.
You? Go to Stalwart? Is this your macabre sense of humor, or has something gone to rust in that beautiful head I crafted?
Galvino stares at her agape.
No one will bother me while I'm with him. Besides, I can help him find people in Stalwart.
The golem's burnished face is eerily impassive.
You haven't been to Stalwart in 13 years. And this watcher sees souls. What help could you be? Besides, I have need of you here. You owe whatever remains of your wicked life to me.
A frown sours on his lips as he taps his chest with a crooked finger. The golem says nothing, but her essence smolders. Resentment rises from her in shimmering waves. She swivels her head to look at you. What's the story between you two?
This charming specimen is a convicted murderer. The Devil of Carrick, she's called.
Mighty fine of you to start with my good qualities, and you wonder why we don't get more visitors.
Killed over a dozen people before they finally caught up to her in Stalwart. Perfect company for lonely camps and mountain passes, no?
He nudges you, all the while grinning wickedly at the motionless golem.
Hey, I know how to start a campfire.
The only reason she's not a frozen corpse is because I convinced the old mayor to let me try an experiment.
You put a person's soul into a metal body? He leans back, raising his hands.
Into a work of art! Look at this! Craftsmanship worthy of a jeweler!
He traces the scroll work that runs along the golem's jaw.
Fully articulated joints, capable of grasping a pen and writing her own name.
He grabs her hand and delicately bends her tapered fingers.
And of crushing your throat.
She snatches her hand away.
Show me another smith anywhere in the Deerwood who is capable of such delicacy and precision. She is a masterpiece.
Why did you build her?
Why build a fortress or a village or anything? To make something that keeps, that... It was the early days of the legacy. My peers in the colleges of Animancy were filling the Hollowborn with the souls of animals.
He pauses, scratching his chin. Oh, so you are an animancer then. I guess given all that I've seen, that would make sense. I wondered how my character would come to that conclusion. You're right, by comparison, this sounds perfectly sane. He rolls his eyes.
I thought there was a better way.
He is silent for several seconds, his gaze growing distant.
One with a plum academy job back in Salona? Don't forget that part.
He glares at her with narrowed eyes. Why is she called the Devil of Karak?
She committed her first crime in the village of Karak.
Karak, got it.
Burned a family alive in their home.
He shrugs.
Did the same thing in half a dozen other villages, but the name stuck.
I take it your experiment didn't go over so well with the rest of the village.
Here we go.
She rolls her eyes, rasping them against their sockets. This'll be fun.
They were going to stone her anyway. Why not allow her to be put to some useful purpose?
His lips curl back from yellowing teeth.
My life's ambition. To serve somebody's useful purpose.
I approached Mayor Sinahiyod and begged. He saw the potential and allowed me the privilege of attempting my little experiment.
He sneers at the words and the indignity they recall. His shoulders are stooped and his teeth bared.
Then, I accomplished what few animancers have even dreamed of. No academic support, no patron. Just me in the middle of nowhere.
He jabs a finger into his concave chest.
Oh, now you got 'em all wound up.
I transferred a fully intact soul from a living subject to a fabricated body. She retained her personalities, her memories, all of it.
He claws at the air with one thick-veined hand.
Yet the villagers saw only a stolen corpse.
Aren't you afraid she'll murder you?
She may be mad, but she's no fool. She wouldn't survive long on her own. If the villagers didn't send a hunting party after her, the Eremans would claim her. Her joints and mechanisms require maintenance, and she cannot perform all of it herself.
See, he's reminding me. In case I get any bright ideas.
That's all I wanted to know.
She's a fine specimen, her personality notwithstanding.
He waves one hand in a circular motion. The golem says nothing. Alright. I'd like her to travel with me.
Quay? No, you don't know what you ask.
He shakes his head, waving his hands.
This woman, the Devil of Karak, she was a notorious murderer, burned people alive all over the region. Besides, she works for me. After all, I am the one who preserved her.
He straightens his back and looks you up and down, taking your measure. Let me parade her around town. It'll infuriate those villagers. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Actually, wait, Would that be a good idea or not? I don't know how I want to play this, actually. How do I want to play this? I feel like there'd be all sorts of insight based purely around this, but actually the question is, could I get Galvino to join me? Because he's got a portrait too, so presumably he's a potential party member as well. Let me parade her around town. It'll infuriate those villagers. You'd like that, wouldn't you?
So you get use of the Devil's services, and I get the satisfaction of knowing those stiffnecks are sweating through their small clothes, eh?
He sighs, but a smug grin has already worked its way across his face.
It's a deal.
Fine price for a blacksmith striker. Suppose I should be flattered.
And there you have it, a bargain.
Alrighty then. Who should I send off then?
I will wait in the place of your strength.
A moment. You are going back to Stalwart, yes? Perhaps you could do me a favor.
Tell me about this favor.
There is a man in the village named Grinder, the head fisherman. The rest of Stalwart kisses his feet because he fills their stinking blades with speckleback. But I know he's not as virtuous as he seems.
His face crinkles in vicious glee. Seems like you have a history with him.
That self-righteous meddler engineered my eviction from the village. He turned them all against me. Now I want him to feel the scorn of those mush-brained imbeciles.
What exactly do you want me to do to him?
Humiliate him, of course. Show his neighbors what he truly is, and let him live with the disgrace.
He points vaguely in the direction of the village, his thin arm trembling.
He's always been a ripple sponge addict. Just got good at hiding it once his sainted sister died and left him in charge of the fishery. But he keeps a stash in the fishery, sneaks in at night when the others have gone home, and emerges sluggish and red-eyed a few hours later. I want you to expose him. Go to the fishery after dark when it's empty, find his ripple sponge, and show it to Renengild.
I see.
Do not answer me now. But when you return to that festering eyesore and smell the stink of fish that hangs in the air, consider what I've said.
He grins.
Your misgivings collect like grime on a doorstep. But think, if this Green Day is a fraud, does he not deserve to be exposed?
Fair enough, I suppose.
But be sure to approach the fishery by night, when it's empty. They will give you no end of trouble if they see you stealing during the day.
What were those constructs I encountered in your workshop?
Other projects, they are none of your concern.
He waves a hand and looks quickly away from you. The villagers don't trust you. Do those constructs have something to do with it?
For years I've been trying to create another like the Devil of Carrick. Yet those post-Enagos in Stalwart destroyed my machinery.
His drooping skin trembles in his rage.
Now, I can only create these broken, mindless things. The devil remains my most perfect creation.
Why do you need more golems?
I can't present the Devil of Carrick to the academies, can I? A mad woman and a murderer? No. I need to bring a success to the republics.
He rubs his hands together, frowning. Wait, where have you found the souls to create these other golems?
Smugglers, slavers, fugitives. The kind of riffraff that pass this way. Rarely missed, and good work to keep my little devil busy.
Well, I suppose if they'd be giving you trouble anyway. Ugh, still. That's... ugh. You live a fine line, don't you? I want to know about the expeditioners who came to you before.
As would I, but there is little to tell. They never gave their names. But they seem to know more about the battery than the others, which is unusual because they did not seem like typical adventurers.
He raises his snowy eyebrows. Wait, does he have eyebrows? It's sort of there in the artwork.
Their hands were smooth and marked with ink, not scars, and they traveled light. Unusually so.
He rubs at his chin. Unusual indeed. What do you suppose they were looking for?
Wal himself could not have said, and I haven't the time to concern myself with the business of strangers. Something else? Quay.
I have questions about the Devil of Carrick.
As must the gods themselves. Something else? Quay.
Alright, I guess while we're here, we may as well
Right
engage.
here.
Alright, so what exactly are you? You are a rogue. Ah! I have someone to replace Aloth in terms of mechanics now. I can officially respec him. Nice. So, you are from the Deerwood. Let's see, like a spear. Can't replace... Well, I can't put any other armor on by the looks of it, but it looks like I can outfit you with a decent amount. Okay. The black marbles of her eyes scrape against their sockets as she looks at you. You and Galvino had an unusual relationship.
Only kind to have with someone like him.
She crosses her arms. You resent him.
No other way to feel about the man who flayed my living soul.
Metal squeals as she shifts her folded arms. How long have you two known each other?
Around about 13 years. Too long, you ask me.
He claims he made you.
He'd spread butter on bread and claim he made something. Never been accused of modesty, that man.
Her eyes roll wildly.
He managed to stuff my soul into this heap of bronze, true enough. Maybe that makes him a genius. Also makes him a son of a bitch.
She drums her fingers along one scratched bicep. Did you ever consider murdering him?
Every day. Just kept putting it off. It's not like either of us was going anywhere.
What exactly did you do for him? She regards you for several seconds. She shrugs.
Looked after his tools, cleaned the workshop, swung the sledgehammer. Oh, and snatched up travelers for his soul tinkering.
Those other golems you made.
But don't you worry. They were all bad folk.
Thank you for telling me.
Just so you know, you got a real professional working for you. Yeah, I've had enough of him too.
Galvino said you murdered several people before he transferred you.
Effigy's eyes, that man loved to talk.
Do you regret it?
You want to hear me say yes, don't you?
She tilts her head back on its axis, searching you with ink-black eyes.
You'd have me go on about how I thought long and hard on my crimes, how I'd spend my own essence if it would quicken the men and women I killed.
She's silent for several seconds before she swivels her head away. Well, I guess there's no remorse there. Did you really do it?
Yeah.
Well then, tell me why you killed those people.
If it's sane and logical reasoning you're wanting, you're gonna be disappointed. Ain't no sense in any of it.
I've heard parts of your story from others. I'd rather hear the rest from you. A soft hissing noise comes from the bronze golem. You recognize it as a sigh.
Mayhap you've heard of Coldmorn. Was a quiet, forgettable patch of the woods. Till a pack of rabid clodhoppers set it afire.
The fingers of one hand twitch and click against one another in a pair of sudden spastic motions.
That was the start of the purges. Dear Woodens killing their own.
What exactly happened to Cold Morn? A sudden burst of heat flares from her seams as her essence surges and boils.
A farmer on the other side of the mountains woke up one day with his head all aflame and took it for the gibbering speech of his god. And so did a few thousand of his countrymen. So when he tired of Vorlus fields and marched west, a horde of armed hicks followed.
You're talking about Widewind and the Saints' War.
Bunch of fool nonsense is what I'm talking about. But others have called it the same. If you know that much, then you've heard of Cold Morn. Ours was the village that let a few thousand of Widewind's troops pass through.
You were from Cold Morn? When I heard what happened out there after the war, I couldn't believe my ears.
Fine line between couldn't and wouldn't.
Your Woodens aren't the forgetful sort. You must have known that wouldn't end well.
Maybe not, but the Raid Sarens had us clean beat in numbers. Even bumpkins like us figured that. Just look at Mercy Vale. They fought back, and now there ain't one stone standing atop another in the whole village.
She sweeps one bronze palm across another, metal screeching.
Besides, we asked the Duke for help. Told him Widewind's troops was coming through the mountains. Seems he had better uses for his soldiers.
She crosses her arms over her plated chest.
So we let Widewind's soldiers pass. Left him for the Duke to wrangle on his own terms.
You hear a soft clank as she flicks her wrist. So Cold Morn was purged in retaliation.
Was after the Godhammer made a fine grit out of Widewind, when Deerwoodens were running on rage and looking for something to burn.
You catch glimmers and glints at her seams as razor-thin wires pull tight within her body.
They came at dark. Hundreds of folk. Every one of them mourning someone lost in the war.
A dry chuckle ticks in her throat.
Must have decided it was our duty to escort their dead back to the wheel. They didn't light their torches till they had us surrounded. Time we saw 'em, there was a ring of fire closing around us.
She pauses, and a mechanism in the back of her skull clicks dully.
I woke. Ran to the window. Whole village were a maze of flames. Couldn't see nothing for the smoke. And the screams.
Her thumb spasms to a strange, rhythmic beat.
Most ran for the streets. Got caught by the mob. Others hid, let their houses burn down around them.
So sorry. It's terrible.
You're the only person in the Deerwood who thinks so. Me, I'm surprised the Duke didn't make our massacre a festival day.
What does that have to do with your crimes?
Hunting down the men and women what took part. Thought that much was clear.
Couldn't have hoped to get them all.
Well, we just gotta do our best with what time the gods give us, don't we?
She brought... What exactly did you hope to accomplish?
It were a mob that destroyed our village. But it was just one man that burned my family's house. Kept hoping I'd get to him as I was working my way through the rest of those maggots. No matter now, I suppose.
A sigh rattles out of her bronze skull, but her essence whips and twitches, as restless as a cat's tail. Why did you want to come with me?
Stalwart's great this time of year. Beareth spells in bloom for a good 5 days, and the mountain squall actually blows the fish stench away from town.
She turns away, clacking the fingers of one hand against her palm.
Better than staying at Galvino's, anyway.
Aloth arches an eyebrow and leans close. I've lived with secrets long enough to know when someone's hiding something. I get the feeling you're not welcome in Stalwart.
I got a reputation. People in these little villages ain't the most open-minded.
Did you murder someone here?
Not yet.
Right. I'm supposed to believe that you came all the way to Stalwart 13 years ago for the scenery.
Believe what you want. I killed a lot of folk, but none of them was in Stalwart.
About Durgan's battery.
Just 'cause I'm made of metal don't mean I got any special fondness for smiths and forges.
She flicks the bronze of her forearms, producing a dissonant ring. Do you know anything about it?
No more'n what Galvino already told you.
Any thoughts on which villagers I should check?
For fancy dwarven poetry? None of them ever struck me as especially literate. So whichever you can stand to get close to.
She shrugs with a rattling of metal.
And that's on you. I lost my sense of smell 13 years ago.
Do you remember any of the other expeditions that came to Galvino?
Nothing specific. Everyone looks about the same when they got their fingers up their noses.
She pauses thoughtfully. Then her head snaps forward in a tiny, quick moment of realization.
Only the last group, one before you, there was something different about them.
3 of her fingers clench and spasm.
Couldn't put my finger on it, but they was dangerous. Almost felt the hair on the back of my neck.
She runs her hand along the smooth, segmented bronze of her neck.
Ain't felt that way about anyone else walking through Galvino's door, that's for sure. Murder, tracking, and the best materials for kindling. Those are more my area of expertise.
What was your life like before the Saints' War?
There weren't much to say about it. By my reckoning, that means it was pretty good.
She nods thoughtfully.
Ma was a trapper, taught me to set snares and dress game. Dad was a tinker. I never had his patience, but it were fun to watch him work. My brothers and sister, they was good folk too. Part of me's glad they ain't here to see me now.
Her face is as blank as ever, but her essence ebbs and rides. She turns away. That's all. So that's why she wants to come with me. She wants to find that person.
What?
That's gonna make things interesting. Thought I felt your eyes on me. Now come the words.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I wanted to know more about you. He grunts. Where are you from?
Where I hail from? From one of Margren's fires. A cathedral, ashfall, made of blackened trees. I studied the scriptures there, the fires carved into the land, the trunks of the burnt trees, and in the factories where the rifles and cartridges were shaped. All are chapels in other devotions.
Other devotions? For Margren, any fire is enough for worship, physical or not. A blacksmith's anvil, a craftsman's bench, all arenas where fire is waiting to be born. It just needs a spark, like an alchemical fire, or a spark to cartridges to speed them to their purpose. Their purpose? Durance tilts his head, thinking, well, their purpose then. It was many thens ago. Durance scratches his beard. Beard was a little brighter than now. But yes, cartridges, guns, all had a purpose, and that purpose was punching holes in mages and letting their pompous air hiss out. Durance gives a half smile, then a nod. Woke their kind right up and kept them staring at the ceiling in the dark instead of sleeping, that's for certain. Pompous air indeed. A little violence isn't accounting, an answer for unchecked power. Well, Margren gave an answer for that. Mogren puts soldiers and mages on equal footing. Durance nods again. Mages were troublesome in that time. Firearms made every man a mage, and a caster's pretty arcane shield was little match for them. It turned each commoner into a beast that could spit fire. It leveled the field of battle, that's for certain. Made many a mage a grave. It's a wonder there still is magic in this world then. Although to be fair, it's only musket level technology, so you've only got one shot before you're suddenly alight with all sorts of nonsense. Tell me about Ashfall. You're more curious about it than most of Mogren's faithful. What is the cathedral like? Massive, beautiful, blessed by the goddess, flame cannot strike it twice. Durance's eyes travel to his ashen staff, studying the etchings. Beneath, tunnels and chambers, bellows and fire pits, and many of the faithful, looking for a means to bring fire to the world. He turns his gaze from the staff to you. Guns, explosives, alchemy, all of these are our holy symbols, and we are eager to share. That staff of yours seems like your holy symbol.
This? In a way. This is more of what's left behind when flame strikes. If Ashfall is a cathedral propped up and fenced with such sticks, then this stick, well, this is what props me up as I walk the cathedral of my road, to other Ashfalls waiting to be made, perhaps. The wood is taken from the War of Black Trees. Sturdy. It served me well on my travels. Been a boon companion.
What are the etchings on the staff?
Tales. Reminders. Something to think upon. Devotions I can wrap my mind around when chanting words becomes tiresome. Chants lose their strength, but carving symbols into the wood with one's finger, blessed by fire.
Durance takes his finger, and you watch it trace one of the paths along the wood, and the symbol glows slightly, red embers from a fire. As he draws his hand away, it still glows, and he stares at it, letting it reflect in his eyes.
I find symbols are a greater source of devotion than words, texts. If there were many texts to be had. Texts remind me of a deer, the perfume of aristocracy.
Aloth yawns. If only he tired of the spoken word so quickly. Durance does not appear to notice.
The War of Black Trees and this staff I carry are the only hymns and devotions I need. And it's a symbol, one that the faithful and faithless alike understand.
Can you tell me what some of the symbols on your staff mean? It's as if you swallowed a gadfly nest. Keep silent and keep them to yourself, lest you tire yourself before the next campfire. Well, that conversation's over. Darn, I was just getting interested again. Yeah, well. Actually, wait, did I miss something over here? Looks like I might have. Let's go check it out. One last thing to see to.
Hey there.
Let's see what we got.
Ah, that's why. Scattered pile of mechanical finger joints lies strewn across this desk. Arranged from top to bottom, these boxes boast increasingly intricate locks. A few broken lockpicks lie discarded on the shelves.
If you say so. That'll do.
Not my best moment.
If you say so. That'll do.
Looks like this is what... Yeah, looks like this is what she's been using as her private little chamber. She's probably the only one aware of it then. Oh. I guess that's the end of that. Is there anything I need to see to here? Okay, so the west curtain wall is almost finished construction. At that point, it should be easy enough to rebuild what I lost from getting attacked in the last session. So, let's go ahead and head back up. And then, I suppose in order to get into Durgan's battery, we'll have to go back to town and resolve things there. So, to be fair though, we've got plenty of stuff to turn in related to that. So, should be a grand old time, honestly. Plenty to see to. Plenty to see to. Actually, is there anything up this way?
That's unusual.
Oh, this looks like it'll be interesting. A man stands on the middle of the road. Without looking lowering the blade that rests on his shoulders, he takes 2 steps forward as if to speak for the group behind him. I was hoping for another gift bearer. They always carry surprises, and we love surprises. But we, of course, I mean me, and this. The man taps the hilt of his sword. I will be quick. Try to stay still. Ah, is that how you want to play this then? Okay. Let's see what you can do. Alright, well, if you're gonna just gather around like that, we'll lead with a fireball.
Right.
Alright, let's see what we can do. Yeah, let's just assume that I need to go all out. Mostly because by the looks of it, I do. Alright, sweep them away. I'm not sure what he was expecting, but I think he got more than he bargained for.
Sure. Hey there.
Gift bearer's... Wait, gift bearer's notebook. A recurring signature in the pages of this notebook indicates that it belongs to someone named Ixtli. The pages contain an assortment of entries. Some notes list collections of items alongside their purported value. Other pages are scribbled with notes about the land. A map of the rusted wood marks an important body of water. Next to it there are several underlined notes. They read, "No talk to Lakadal. Formalities first, of course, and she'll come up. Kuala Micha, she's a good girl and likes to hear it before she swims down. Ziltak Kuala, just make sure she likes the fish for a job well done." Wonder what that entails. The road continues climbing for a short distance before turning sharply down into the pass below. I get the feeling...
I'll see what's ahead.
I get the feeling that that's going to be what we end up discovering as part of part 2 of this content. That's my expectation anyway. We'll see how close it lines up to reality later, I suppose. So, is there anything more this way before we carry on back to Stalwart? Ice Troll. Lots of Ice Troll. Okay, Fireball now.
That's rusty.
Do it again. Alright, this is a lot of them. Get out the zapping. Oh, disengaging is a bad idea. Alright, bolster yourself real quick, just to be sure you survive. Now slap him away. Let's give them some chain lightning, see how they like that.
These ones are in for a whopping.
Whoops, just what I needed to have everybody take disengaged damage. Alright, we're kind of... Nah, you can't reasonably hit it that way.
I shot.
There we go. Guess there was a little bit more to see to after all. Huh. A watchtower of some kind.
Keeping an eye out.
Wonder what lies in here. Hopefully not any more dragons. Oh, hi.
Uh-huh.
As you grab the bow, it vibrates with a strange and familiar energy. Searching your pack, you find the silver arrow that you found lodged in an injured winter wolf. As you hold the bow and arrow together, the arrow suddenly snaps into place. You hear a crackling hum and a pale ribbon of light begins to form between the ends of the bow. When you pull the arrow back, you feel a very solid resistance. Stormcaller. Interesting. Binds with Chanter, Cipher, or Ranger. So I could bind this to the Grieving Mother then. Interesting. Orb Sagani, now that I think of it. That looks like a pretty good bow, too.
Yeah?
Neat. Alright, now we just gotta head back down. Who should I send? We'll send Sagani. I'll expect that I'll need to send Sagani to do anything too important. Because her main, well, her side quest won't kick in until Act 3 if I'm not mistaken, so that should be fine. Alright, Stalwart Village. So we'll go ahead and get supplies. And then we'll go ask around for what we need.
Didn't think I'd miss this place. Had that much right.
You sense the presence of one of the other pieces of Garrett's helm nearby. Wait, what? Let's see. Meslev, the sisterhood of the Slake Skull, is dead. Kinda ironic, isn't it? She went about killing people for Barath, and in the end, that's what... Oh, never mind. Just take the bounty. He passes you a bag that rattles with coin. I've heard some new reports of dangerous folk about. Perhaps you'd be interested in going after them too. That be the disciples of the True Flame and the Old Dunreed Hunting Lodge. He shakes his head. Those others you handled are lambs by comparison. Tell me more about the discipline of the True Flame. He scratches the back of his neck. I didn't know what to make of this one. The word is it's a group of dragon cultists. He holds up his hand. I know it sounds bizarre, I didn't believe it myself until I heard they torched an outpost north of Maiden Falls. For clearing a nest of worms, they said. Last I heard, they made camp near Long Watch Falls. It shouldn't be hard to spot. What's the old Dunreed hunting lodge? Adirans with too much time and money. They travel around hunting monsters for sport. But they leave a mess of wrecked property and dead bodies, kith I mean, in their wake. They've been charged with murder and general mischief in Defiance Bay, New Haomar, and a dozen other towns in between. Someone saw them hunting in the Rusted Woods, so you might look for them there. Rusted Wood and more stuff in Rusted Wood and Long Watch Falls, huh?
If you weren't gonna fetch the liquor for me, you didn't have to tell Havrick about it. Now he's banned me from the inn altogether.
Maybe that'll teach you not to plot thefts with strangers.
Very funny. Look, what do you want? You've already ruined my plans for the next 3 evenings.
Oh man, plenty to see to. Plenty to see to. For anything else, I'm pretty sure this, well, actually...
Back to warm your hands, eh? Well, top quality bear pelts on every bed. You won't be disappointed.
Alrighty, so what should I do? Let's go with this. I can spend the money.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you? Top quality...
And then I need camping supplies, which you have. Yep, you've got at least one. That'll be all I need. Alrighty, so I believe there was someone that I needed to go. I think there was a task associated with the inn, so I may as well go looking around for that first before I commit to anything else. Gamblers.
10 Ponds says he trips them.
You're awful.
How many traps do you need to
Yeah.
put on that? The hero of the hour! If Rick sent you down to check on us, we aren't causing trouble, on my word. Who are you? Tin Lake? Humble fisherman. But with the ogres coming down all the time, well, I'd sooner fish for truth down a bottle for the time being. What are you playing? Dozens. Care to test your luck? Each of us puts down 50 pans. 3 wins and you take the 100. Could explain the rules if you like. What are the rules? It's simple enough. Winner takes all. We roll 3 dice each. Get 3 4s and that's the dozen. Beats all the other rules. You roll anything else that sums to 12, that's the towers. Second best. You roll any other triples, that's a godhammer. You get a pair, that's witnesses. 1, 2, and 3 is the saint. That's the lowest. Any other rule is talkers. Doesn't amount to anything, so you roll the dice again. You get it? Alrighty. Odd place for a game. Is it? Frick doesn't like me making a ruckus upstairs, so I get the cellar to myself provided I don't go digging in his stores. That's a fair bargain, right, Lens? We have our fun.
Sure.
Yeah, before I go investigating souls, should probably talk to the mayor just to be sure that everything's all good there. Oh, you have something to say, don't you? Oh, and you can level up. Nice. Ooh, useful. I'll take it.
Village was a touch livelier when I saw it last. Ain't saying much, though.
What do you remember about Stalwart?
Bitter cold and a persistent odor of fish. And that were just the people.
Why did you want to come back anyway?
Anything's better than Galvino's workshop. You ain't heard the old buzzard sing. Anyway, what about you? We seen lots coming through, trying to crack the battery, but no watchers.
There's another group that passed through before me. I need to know what they were after.
Ah, looking for someone. That's a familiar yarn.
She nods slowly, rocking her head on broad, steady shoulders.
But don't let me keep you from the sights and sounds of Stalwart. They're easy to miss.
Hey there.
Is there an upstairs? I feel like you were the one I needed to talk to.
Excuse me, was there something you need?
I mean, you're just a cleaning lady.
Not to be rude, but I'm rather busy. Can't you get another room?
The Orlin turns and glances past you with a quick, nervous motion. His ears shredded and scalloped at the edges are pressed against his skull. Ifrik sent me to check on you. He thinks you're up to something.
He... what? Oh no. No.
He runs his claws through his hair and tugs at his long, ragged ears. Can't imagine why he'd think a thing like that.
Is she there? Did you see her?
What are you talking about?
Devala. That woman. The slaver, she... I was a slave in Raid Ceres. I ran away. Made it here. The mountains are usually the best place to lose slavers, but Devala's one of the best.
His hands tremble as he picks at his worn tunic. That's terrible. There must be something we can do.
I just want to get out of here. I've scraped together enough money to reach New Haelmar.
New Haelmar? That's hardly an He stomps himself, eyes wide. I mean, it's lovely. You'll love it.
But the locals talk about a Raid Saren party, camped west of town.
He worries at a ragged shirt sleeve.
It's got to be Devala. She's been after me since the foothills. I'll pay you if you can get rid of her. I don't care how.
I'll do it.
Thank you. But be careful. She wouldn't have come alone.
Isn't that the group I dealt with?
Is she there? Did you find Devala?
Not yet. Well, I guess that answers that question. So, let's go talk to the mayor, and then we'll go cause some trouble by reading everybody's souls, seeing if there's anything interesting.
I take it you've met Galvino.
Renegil glances at the Devil of Karak, her eyes narrowing. What can you tell me about Feyre's expedition?
Who? Sorry, I don't recall the name. Last expedition I met disappeared weeks ago. Didn't give any names, but they definitely haven't come back this way. Don't mean the Sfeyara weren't part of an expedition, though. We get groups passing by sometimes looking to try their luck. What's on your mind?
Alright, guess it's time to start examining souls.
You've been busy since we last spoke. I want to thank you for what you've been doing for Stalwart.
Your awareness settles beneath Renegil's skin. You feel yourself looking through her eyes upon a time-faded memory. You're standing in the inn. The room is stifling, but it's the body heat of so many furious villagers, not the neglected fire pit that's drawn sweat from your pores. Your husband waits by the door, about as far as he can get from the assembly. He holds Uldric, whose cheeks are bright as he watches the adults bicker with wide, fearful eyes. You'd never realize how badly your neighbors stank, but something rank and repulsive rises from them as they pack together in this room.
How much did the old snake pay you, Sina Hiod?
It's Grinda, the head fisherman. jabbing a furious finger toward the back of the room. Sinehud, the erstwhile mayor, squirms in a corner, pinned by the accusing stares of the entire village. Oh, those eyes. They're cruel, porcine eyes, and they're watching Sinehud with the dumb gluttony of hogs staring at fodder. The only sight that turns your stomach more is Sinehud himself, trying to wiggle free of his own lies.
Maestro Galvino and I came to an agreement. It was for the good of Stalwart. I thought...
You thought you'd let a killer walk among us?
A woman in the middle of the crowd waves her fists. Cries of fierce agreement rise from the others. What began as a collective grumbling is swelling and congealing like storm clouds. You look back at your husband. He's whispering to Uldric, but when you catch his eyes, he directs a silent supplication to you. Oh wait, that guy who just attacked me north of that... Ooh.
Let's go.
A wet smack draws your attention back to the other end of the room. Someone's thrown a potato, and Sinehud cringes and rubs his jaw. You want to shout at them all for this nonsense and waste, but you know this is about to get worse. Stalwart will have blood, and Galvino in his horror had the sense to flee already. You turn again and your husband is beckoning you with swift chopping motions, but what stops your breath is Uldric. His little eyes are fixed on the churning mob, and you knew ever since you started hearing about those hideous purges that he'd see something like this one day. But did it have to be so soon? It's what drove that devil woman to madness, and now his little eyes have gotten big enough to swallow the whole scene, and now he's seeing you as a part of it. You want to leave now, but if you do, this is what your boy will remember. Cowardice and madness. About people, about Stalwart, about you. The people about you jostle and bark in their rage. They're dangerous animals, but animals nonetheless. They just need to be led. So you push your way to the end of the room, where Sinehud trembles in a puddle of his own piss.
Enough.
Your voice boils up from your throat. The others fall silent, watching you. They listen, dumbly trusting, as you turn Sinehud's death sentence into an exile. No one contradicts you when you explain that he's going to march out of this village alone and into whatever miserable hamlet will have him. They silently agree when you explain that their hands are too clean for the likes of him. But there's something else forming behind their eyes, a kernel of trust and dependence. You feel it curdling around you, encasing you like a pearl does sand. You only wanted to spare Sinehud's life, not volunteer for his job. But you see so much fear simmering just beneath their expressions. Fear at good men marching through the mountains, at dear woodens and their purges, at dying the slow and lonely death of a ghost town. And you see their grateful reassurance mirrored in Uldric's expression. Perhaps this place is hopeless, but you realize that you can't leave it any more than you can leave your boy. The only person who isn't looking at you is your husband. He's shaking his head, his eyes on the door. You retreat from Reningild's memory. Vivid though it is, it has nothing to do with Durgan's battery. You got the look of someone with his teeth around a secret. Her gold fingers are locked around your arm. Her black eyes search you.
Glad I'm not the only one who knows not to trust your kind, Watcher. You do well not to trust hers.
What's on your mind?
Alright, that... Oh wait, never mind, it's just... Wait a minute. Did I... Oh.
You did right in parlaying with Baragon. Don't know that anyone else here is gonna see it that way, but I thought you should know.
He gives you a thoughtful nod before turning back to the fire. Do you know anything about Durgan's battery?
It's a fool's hope. A fantasy that's kept these parts inhabited longer than they should be.
He glances around the old house and its worn furnishings.
They say the Pargrunan dwarves developed Durgan's steel, became powerful, rich, and then one day, they locked their doors and died.
He shrugs, turning his palms toward you.
Nothing like a mystery to stir folk up. Most of Stalwart is convinced that some Pargrin secret will save us all. But that don't stop them from whispering a prayer when they pass the old fortress.
A sour smirk crosses his lips.
Something else you need?
Earlier you said I should make peace with Matron Baragon.
About the only thing folk here haven't tried. Killing one more matron won't change things for long.
He shakes his head.
But it could be fun.
Your host ignores her.
Besides, her clan's flames that whisper. The one that attacked us was Wolf with many mouths. I'd know him anywhere.
They're cut from the same cloth, Uldric. Only a matter of time before Baragon marches through that gap in our walls.
At the sound of Reningild's voice, Uldric's shoulders stiffen. His jaw works in a silent but furious retort. You seem to disagree with Renegade on quite a few matters.
Mother's convinced that a magic forge will turn this frozen crack into a hub of civilization. She can't accept this place is dying. Me, I'd just as soon move on.
He scrapes the sole of his boot on the straight but weathered floorboards. What do you do here?
I'm a carpenter, Mother's a builder, so it felt like a good fit at the time.
He presses his lips into a wry frown.
Not that we've got a lot of new folk to build houses and furnishings for. These days, I spend most of my time fixing up the stockade.
You reach for Aldrich's essence and find yourself staring at a fence post lying in a filthy slush of frozen mud. Snow gathers around your legs and trickles into your boots. A wind nips at you even through layers of fur. You hold a wood chisel in one numb hand and a mallet in the other. Kneeling over the fence post, you get to work. Hour after hour, you hammer away, feeling the tool grow heavy in your grip as your breath fogs your vision. You want to do better work than this. You can do better work than this. But no one's building new houses in Stalwart. The last table you crafted was put into the fishery, and pike entrails now trace the fine dovetailed joints you so lovingly carved. Now you mend the stockade because that's what's needed. The chisel slips, skidding along your hand. You gasp, but you hold up your hand and see, much to your relief, all 5 fingers wiggling back at you. You need to get out of this town. You pull back from Aldrich's soul. He's still staring into the fire, seemingly lost in his own memories, too. What do you have to say? Sorry, I noticed that the Devil of Karak had something to say. Sarok? However you pronounce it. See? Didn't think there was anything more in lice and hoarfrost to these folks, but you had to look back there.
What do you find when you're rooting around like that?
First, tell me the real reason you wanted to follow me to Stalwart.
Mayhap I'm looking for someone. Woodcutter, by the name of Harmka.
This doesn't have anything to do with Cold Morn, does it?
It sure does.
Her fingers tighten into fists, the metal squealing and rattling.
He was one of them. The mob that destroyed Cold Morn. I tracked him to Stalwart years ago, but got caught before I could finish my business.
Dark, iridescent whirls appear and fade on her chest plate. Heat ripples from her metal carapace. It's been 13 years and you're still after him?
We all gotta have something that gets us out of bed in the morning.
A note of cold fury buzzes within her.
This man, Harmka. I saw him outside my house the night it burned, staring into the flames the way I seen you stare into souls.
Oh dear. Her fist clenches and loosens in a series of rapid, random movements.
I knew it were a fool's errand trying to hunt down every man and woman that carried a torch into Cold Morn. But
She twirls her head from side to side and holds up a hand, the delicately engraved palm empty but grasping at something.
If I knew I got the one responsible for my kin and my hearth, I could rest easy.
How could you be so sure about this Harmkey fellow?
I took a good long look that night. Ours was a little place with a yellow door right on the edge of town. He was there. Besides, I asked around when I first got to Stalwart. Townsfolk said that all the woodcutters in town took part in the purge. Point of pride for them.
A small plume of heat rises from a seam in her skull. What does this have to do with me?
I told you he was part of the mob. I spotted him watching my house when it burned. But when we find him, I want to know if he's the one responsible for my home, my parents, and my brothers and sister.
One of her thumbs rubs acidly at a scratch in her hand.
I never thought I'd have the chance to know for sure. But you could look into his soul and find out. You being a watcher and all.
Finding out might be getting your hopes up. How would you feel about a solid hunch instead? I'll do what I can.
Mighty fine of you. Mighty fine indeed.
She nods again, her head bobbing along to a drowsy cadence.
Don't know where he dallies these days, but someone in Stalwart could tell us. People from little villages, they always know.
So, you're back. What can I do for you?
You know anything about a man called Harmkey?
Harmka. Saw him head out some time ago. You can usually find him and some others out in the russet wood, felling trees.
Well, what are we waiting for?
The metal abomination has set her claws deep in your flesh. No good can come from it, Watcher.
Is there anything else? Take care.
This is gonna end badly.
So, you're back. What?
Shut up. The snowy paths peel away, and the brisk air gives way to the acrid stench of smoke. A dark cloud billows up from the remnants of a burning house at the far edge of a rocky field. You are low to the ground, held in place, and above you the wind tugs embers back and forth like firebugs. The vision in your left eye
Not so brave now, are you?
The vision in your left eye is clouded, such that the figure standing over you is a collection of rough smears in black, cast in silhouette by the fire. A dark shape swings toward your face, and the subsequent burst of agony jaws you out of the memory and back into your own skin.
What? Did I spill something on myself? So, you're back. Not so brave now, are you?
Rough smears of black cast in
What? Did I spill something on myself?
Sure.
cast in silhouette. How strange. So... Wonder what I can make of that. Interesting.
Back to warm your hands.
Shut up. You see a room, dark and damp. A cellar. It looks like part of the inn rather than an old fortress. Though Haferic's eyes, you admire rows of gleaming bottles, recently dusted and polished. As you step back from the shelves, you look on with satisfaction at a pressure plate concealed in the stone floor.
You all right? I won't serve you if you're already drunk, you know.
Pressure plate?
Back to warm your hands. You all right?
And what does the flame reveal?
Pressure plate? It's probably just... Actually, it's probably just related to the store or room, isn't it? Probably just related to this, right? And I'm assuming that there's nothing interesting here. Wait, what's that? Oh, just rice. Yeah, I didn't think there'd be anything interesting. Where's the other piece of that helm? Yeah, well, I'll figure it out eventually.
You look like you've been in the wilds. You see my wagon out there?
I found your goods.
You've saved my hide. I can't thank you enough. But I hope you'll take this.
Fair enough. I'll take my reward then.
Here, as promised. Thanks again. With a little luck, I'll trade these blizzards in for a sea breeze soon enough. Thanks again. I'll be gone just as soon as the weather clears.
Alrighty. Okay, now that's ironic. Anything worth grabbing? Where is that armor? Where is that piece of the helm? Hearing that style of music, oh man. Never thought I'd hear that outside of my father's CD player or a Renaissance festival. Well, Gavina would be pleased to get another Valiant out here. Huh. Would you happen to possess an old helm? Or a horn that looks like it's supposed to be attached to a helm? Yadurin opens a compartment in his wagon and pulls out a cracked horn partially wrapped in cloth. One of the villagers sold me this during a previous visit. He said it came from some rare lake creature and was quite valuable. It's been dismissed as junk whenever I've tried to resell it. Unless you know otherwise? Yes, it's part of an artifact I'm trying to recover. Ah, so not another bad investment on my part. 600 pans is my price. Done. The world fades and your vision blurs. When it returns, you find yourself in the icy waters of a bay, your body numb from the cold and your lungs burning from exertion. Nearby are Arheld and Bardrin. Both of them are swimming madly in an effort to pass you. On the distant shore waits other members of your tribe, and with them Olara, daughter of the chieftain. It is for her hand that the three of you are competing today. Give up, Garad! Arheld passes you, and despite your best efforts, you can't quite catch up. You look around to see where Bardrin is, and it's by sheer chance that you catch sight of the sea serpent's head surging towards your group. As before, the world stops, the memories trail lost without your guidance. Your fatigue falls your way as you turn to face the serpent. It charges you, its jaws wide, its foot-long teeth flashing in the sunlight. At the last moment, you dodge to the side as its jaw snaps shut. You're a hair too slow, and one of the serpent's horns tears open your forearm to the bone. You grit your teeth against the sudden pain and wrap your arm around the serpent's neck before it can turn around. It thrashes and rolls wildly, trying to throw you off. You hang on for dear life, weaker with each breath as your blood drains. You'll do the only thing you can think of and jam your fist straight through the serpent's eye, burying your arm as far as it can go. The serpent whips around in agony and your grip slips. You tumble through the air as your consciousness fades. Erase. How could I have forgotten the events of that day? Garad looks at his hands. I remember it now, but I feel no different yet. Please, you must find the last part of my home. Well, I found one part in that section. I guess it's fair to say that I'd find the other parts somewhere.
I hope you've had some luck, and do take care with that device. It has a few rather delicate components.
I didn't find any ore deposits, but I did find this.
What? So it works? What a day! But why these gems? I didn't think the device would be able to pick up inert Audra. Fascinating. I have to study this further, but all the same, it worked! At last! A breakthrough! With that Audra to work from, I can refine the enchantments. We'll be digging up iron, gold, Audra, all of it!
Happy to help.
This is going to change everything. Oh, and I won't leave you empty-handed, of course. Here, I had this set aside for supplies, but I don't think I'll be staying in Stalwart much longer. I won't forget all you've done for me. They'll hear about this back home, I promise you. Who knows? Perhaps they'll name the next battery after you.
I suppose we will see. Anything interesting this way? Actually, there's the hunter and his son, isn't there? Yeah, just making sure. Alright, let's go double back to talk to the hunter and his son. Maybe they'll have something interesting. Oh boy. Been a busy week. Haven't had an evening to myself since Sunday. Hopefully I will have Sunday to myself, honestly. We shall see, though. Either way, let's see if these guys have anything interesting. So, we've got one potential in the guy who wanted me to steal from the tavern.
Welcome. What can we do for you?
Your soul is a vibrant, stolid thing, and as you reach out for it with your senses, you see your breath begin to fog in the air. You find yourself seated at the crest of a hill, overlooking the mountain pass below. The sky is bright and clear, and your furs are proof against the mountain chill. Appa! A child, barely old enough to walk, burbles happily as he wobbles towards you. He points down at the elk herd picking its way across the river, and you smile proudly. The vision fades, and with it goes the swell of joy. There is a tight knot of regret within your chest, and only when the last of the vision is faded does it leave you.
Thank you again for saving us.
Yeah, the regret must be because they have to act on the assumption that, hey, you don't necessarily save the guy. Well, save the son, as it were. So, that in mind, that's probably why, anyway. On the way, there we are. Let's head down here. Ooh, new stuff. Let's see. Nidhen was a Glenfathen murderer who was notorious for both his brutality and his ability to avoid capture by the tribe's best hunters. When he was finally captured and put to death, his body was buried in a secret place near Salab and Relag. Ariel had given the unusual recommendation in the hopes that the Ingwithan ruins would capture the killer's soul and prevent it from returning to the wheel. During a recent cleansing celebration, an Orland child stumbled across Nidhen's grave. Not realizing what she had found, she told her parents, who guessed what it was and in turn told other members of the tribe. Within a day, Nidhen's burial site had been plundered by a few foolhardy Glenfathens, the body carried away for ritual purposes. All that remained was the ring finger from his right hand. The Umfatha opposed the use of Nidhen's body for preparing sacred objects, and will reward anyone who can return it to them. Seems like a job for Kana. Let's see what he can make of it. Anything interesting this way?
What are you doing here?
I've got questions about the fishery.
Been running it 4 decades now. Reckon I can tell you what you want to know. Need anything else?
As you reach for Grinda's essence, you find yourself wrapped in the cold embrace of a snowstorm. You trudge through the snow, each step laborious to your numb feet. You keep your head down against the wind, and your back is bent under a heavy burden. Ahead of you is the frozen lake, and the hole you made in it. Your feet crunch over the ice. You wait and secretly hope for the telltale crack beneath you. With the village distant and dark behind you, you would sink and none would know. At least that would free you of the heavy, churning feeling in your gut. Yet you reach the hole, and the ice is still steady under you. You heft the burden off of your shoulders, cradling it, cradling her in your arms. She's wrapped in nets and weighted with stones. You wish one of the priests of Andra were here with solemn words and the assurance of ceremony. Instead, you slip a bracelet off of her wrist. Andra will have her body, and you will carry this reminder. You slide the bundle into the water and watch it sink. As it dwindles to nothing, more than a dark stain beneath the ice, you feel a scratching in your throat, and hear the wind moaning into your ear.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It takes you a moment to realize that you're hearing your own voice muttering that. You surface from the vision. So that must have been interesting. Do I want to confront him about it? No. I'll have to mull over that some more. Alright, we've been through there. Same to that. Let's grab this while we're here. And then off we go.
Got to speak up? My hearing ain't what it was.
You feel her essence humming and buzzing. Another personality and set of memories lies dormant within her soul, convulsing as if in fitful sleep. The contours of that dormant soul are sharp, ragged. As you reach out for it, it seizes you violently. You're standing in a darkened feast hall. Sturdy tables and benches have been stacked against the door in the far end of the room. You know it won't be enough. A few dozen other dwarves from your tunneling crew wait with you, shovels and pickaxes in their shaking hands.
Sinove, please. If we go now, we can get behind the barricade. We won't do any good here.
He's right, and you hear agreement in the quiet murmur of the others. but Armsword and Maroon ordered you hold your ground here. Yet in those rising whispers, you hear the opening bars of mutiny. You've never tolerated insubordination from your crew, and you aren't about to start. So you heft your pickaxe and swing it into the man's skull. He collapses it, and the others fall silent. The acrid odor of urine rises from his body.
We're gonna go down fighting. Anyone who feels differently can settle it with me right now.
Your voice is hoarse from hours of shouting orders, but no one else moves. They cast their eyes down in the flickering torchlight. Something thuds against the door. The others raise their weapons, picks, shovels, and a few swords, but they don't dare flinch. Your own pulse pounds at your temples. You pull back from Taina's soul, but you feel Zenova's wrath and ferocity tugging at you still. Her essence thrashes, lashing out at an unseen enemy. Zenova is powerful, but dangerous too. Her fury has anchored her to old and threatening memories. You consider that there may be others you could awaken. Taina, however, seems unaware of any of this, and she blinks back at you with cloudy, placid eyes. Well, the problem is I haven't found anyone else. I'm gonna need to think about that. I have to think carefully about that.
And then you hit your own father?
Not I. That was Isilmir.
Yeah, but you're the same person.
Fine cock's feathers to that!
I see your point.
You guys are great. This game's awesome. Actually, wait, if it's dark... Ah, never mind. Actually, I could just go to the autosave. I might be able to go there now. It's technically night, apparently. When did it turn? Yeah, if it's dark, I wonder if I can... Well, bound to have the autosave, right? Where is that? Trying to figure out what that is. Well, at least I have the autosave in Rusted Wood anyway. I think this will be fine. Yeah. There we are. Making good progress, making good progress. Been a lot of interesting discussion and interesting character work. Excellent. Putting me out exactly where I want to be. A dozen pair of globular eyes stares up piteously from the discarded heads. That's of the day's catch, awash in a pungent sea of fins and innards. Your hand runs up against something rough and fleshy, the size of a melon. It is smooth and scaleless, and parts seem to be covered in hair. A discarded head perhaps, but not that of a fish. What the hell? With one hand on either side of the head, you begin to lift it out of the barrel, only to have it leap from your grasp as the head's owner springs over the lip of the barrel in an eruption of fish chunks that rain down over the market stall. What the hell? Is this what chat was talking about? The man you're left from the barrel stands facing you, nearly naked save for a loincloth and drizzled in fish viscera. He is covered head to toe in scars, tears and punctures and the thorny imprints of lashings. Most are faded, like old memories. Despite that, the condition of the man's body is remarkable, the drooping skin at his flanks and elbows the only evidence of his advanced age. His face is placid, but the rest of him appears prepared for anything.
You must forgive Zawa. I was not expecting you.
He looks you in the eye at first, but his gaze drifts now and then, settling on strange parts of your face as though distracted by new discoveries. If he is at all flustered, he gives no indication. What were you doing in that barrel? Zahua scratches behind his ears, dismay.
Resting my eyes, I thought. Waiting for the Malkachoa to bring me insight.
He shakes his head.
It would seem I dozed. A good thing my master was not alive to see it.
Zahua blinks, leaning in to get a better look at you. His enlarged pupils seem to crowd out his pale irises.
Are you real?
Yes.
Of course. I meant no offense, but I find it is best to ask when Malkachoa is involved.
Malkachoa?
A small white mushroom. I have heard it called snowcap in these lands. It can reveal the true nature of many things.
You have a master, you said? The man traces your inadvertent glance at his scars. He smiles politely.
A teacher, not an owner. Zawa is a free man.
Oh.
Well, as free as any of us.
I still don't understand why you were in that barrel.
I was freeing myself from vanity.
Did he say sanity or vanity?
Consider, how can one be vain who is bathed in the smell of dead fish?
There was a proud glint in his eyes. Hard to argue with that.
I had the idea when I passed this way earlier. I am pleased with the results so far.
He smiles at a woman whose head is shriveled toward him as she passes by, a look of revulsion on her face. Distracted, her toe catches on a stone and she nearly falls on her face. He claps his hands together.
Yes, quite pleased.
Those scars are from battle? Zawa glances down at his body.
From battle, yes. I left them upon my enemies.
He points at various patches of crisscrossing scars.
These were struck against fear. These against pleasure. These against hatred. Those down there against greed and doubt. And these...
He points to his face.
These were for vanity.
You made those scars?
I cannot take credit for all of them, but I did most of the good ones. I put them there in battle to remind myself what is real and what is not. Our worst enemies are inventions of the mind, pleasure, fear. When we see them for what they are, we become unstoppable.
And you have achieved this?
I feel I have been close, but never for more than an instant. In the moment when the pain is sharpest, the world becomes clear. In that moment, I am a match for anyone.
He gives a slow, assured nod. Your wounds must have caused you to suffer greatly.
Of course. I am fortunate to have suffered so much. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither. But to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements.
He clenches his fist in illustration.
Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us. Their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel.
His eyes gleam as though looking upon an old and beloved friend. Do you often smear yourself with fish?
Gods, no. What a way to travel the world. The usual way is to smear yourself with the ashes of the dead. But they do not burn their dead here, so I have to make do with what the land provides.
Ugh.
The cold seems to conquer the smell. Even now, the scent hides itself. Disappointing.
You don't seem like you're from around here.
I was visiting a monastery not far from here. I found it empty, but I met a messenger as I left. He carried a call for aid. Seeing that he would find no monks at the monastery, I chose to go in their place. Zawa is no longer young, but in combat he is still the greatest of the Takan people. It seemed only right that he should go.
Stalwart hired me as well.
I would not say I am hired. I seek no wage, and I promise no result. I have chosen a path, and my spoils come from walking it.
An uneasy frown settles on his face, almost a wince.
And this fortress, this Durgan's battery, its people are gone. Zawa would know why.
If you seek the White Forge as well, I could use the help of an experienced warrior. Zawa's face tilts upward, his eyes fixing on the sky. He remains motionless, entranced. At length he blinks as if awakening, and looks back at you. He shrugs cheerily.
If one wishes to swim, it is no time to argue with the current. We are here together in this moment because a perfect force has willed it. Who is Zawa to argue?
He looks at you squarely in the eyes, and for once they do not drift.
I will walk with you so long as the gods wish it so.
Let's be on our way. Fish guts and murder. Huh? Recruit the Utzara and the Devil of Karak as companions. Oh, nice. So that's a Steam achievement. Are there any other recruitment achievements left? Let's see what Control F gives me. No, just Maneha Zawa and the Devil of Karak. So I wonder if that means I'm not gonna get the Animancer as a companion. Interesting. Who to send back? Whoops.
Hey there.
You know, I kind of want him to join us, but, I'd have to double back to Defiance Bay then. Just a matter of figuring out who to have then.
Good thing I'm freshly greased.
Huh. You reach into the barrel and find a bracelet. A thick aura of essence clings to it, fresh with memory. You feel yourself drawn into it. In the memory, you stride into the fishery. The floors are swept clean, but the wood is still splotched with snow melt and fish guts. A man hunkers in the corner, his head nodding forward as if in sleep. He looks up drowsily as you approach. It's Grinda. His face is youthful but sallow, and his hair hangs in a stringy locks. You feel a pang of anger and pity at your brother's debauchery.
Arda.
His voice is little more than a croak.
It's past midnight.
Huh. Got Terraplat to do more voices for you? Your throat feels tight. Grinda wipes at his nose, then examines the mingled blood and powder on the back of his hand. He shrugs. Your fingers clench around coarse, thick fabric, your father's best wool cloak, tucked under your arm.
Go! To raid Ceres, or Defiance Bay, or fucking Air Glonfoth, I don't care!
You hurl it at the ingrate huddled on the floor. He picks up the cloak and looks at it with the same sort of dull wonder. He wipes his nose on the lining. A sudden rush of fury leaves your limbs weak and raw.
I'll tell them. Mayor Sina healed. The neighbors, everyone.
You force the words through your teeth.
About what?
He mumbles, churning his words from a morass of snot and saliva.
The stealing. You think I haven't noticed the money missing from the fishery coffers? Or heard Tana talk about losing a golden duke?
You whisper, afraid even now that someone will overhear you, and the words scorch your throat.
You can't be found when there's work to do, but every time those merchant wagons roll into town, you've got coin enough for a few bags of ripple sponge.
No, it's not.
Grinda blinks back at you. He rubs his red-rimmed eyes. Your own grow warm and blurry.
Stalwart tolerates your sponge habit, but they won't abide your thieving.
You touch your bracelet, the gift from Mother, plucking at the beads.
You won't.
He rises, steadier on his feet than you would have thought.
I will.
You stride toward him. Oh dear. I wouldn't have shamed Mother and Father while they were living, but I won't let this keep up. Your anger swallows the last of your pity. Anger at him for putting you in this position, for doubting your resolve, for failing to see. You're close enough to smell his stale, sour breath when he pushes you. You fall, watching his widening eyes in the ceiling spinning into your vision. Isn't this just like him? Grinda with his fool tantrums, never thinking of anybody but himself, and now you're going to be nursing a headache for a week just goes to show you can't help some people. But you remember him too, your baby brother running through the snow, slipping falling on ice, and you're slipping ink falling, and there's a table behind you, but it shouldn't. Memory ends abruptly, jolting back into the present with your heart hammering and your palms sweating. Oh, you accidentally killed her. The fishery door creeps open, and in walks Grinda, staring at you and the bracelet in surprise and outrage. His face drains of color.
You take shelter in our village and then ransack it like a common thief? You'd better explain yourself.
His voice shakes, as do his wide, squared shoulders. Don't worry, Grindel, he's alright. Lord Golder gives you a nod, but he looks uncertain himself. Galvino told me you were a ripple sponge addict. Seems you're much more than that.
Any who put stock in the ravings of that bitter old fool deserve all the trouble they get.
He raises his voice, half turning to the guard with him. You killed your sister Arda, right here in this room. He opens his mouth to reply, but the words catch in his throat. The guard next to him stares at the bracelet, recognition turning to horror.
Worth coming back for this alone.
It was an accident. I was a failure and a wretch then. But I never would have killed anyone. Least of all my own kin.
He turns his gaze down, offering his apology to his own clenched fists.
I gave her body to the lake, but I kept her bracelet to remember the cost of my own weakness.
He loosens his hands and stares at the emptiness in his leathery palms. He looks from... Lord Golder looks from Grinda back to you, wringing the handle of his weapon.
I ain't asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve any. My penance is my work on behalf of the village. And they need it, truly. You've seen the shape this place is in. Have mercy on Stalwart, if not on me. Let me do the work Arda would have done. That's my debt to Stalwart, and the only fitting way to honor my sister.
He looks up at you, his eyes bright and clear. No, you can't get away with this.
Shame. Was counting on you to do some good around here.
I got your back, Eleanor. He curses under his breath. Alright, hit those guys especially. Alright, let's hit that area specifically just to make sure that they go down quickly enough.
Hey there.
Didn't want things to go that way with Grinda, but I owe you. Shame that.
Sure.
May have been an accident, but it was your own stupid decisions that led to that accident. Even if it's technically manslaughter, you're still guilty. All sorts of interesting moral conundrums brought forth by this game. Alrighty, that'll do. Alright, so I know there's a couple... So, remind me, where's the... Somewhere west of town? Alright, then it looks like our next objective will be out there. And given the time, I suspect that it would be a good idea if I called it here for the night. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna double back to Cadnoa real quick. In order to... What should I do? I don't have too much of a need to worry about... Well, I do want the new guy in my party. I'm just curious as to...
Last thing the Deerwood needs is another foreign colony. What?
Alright, let's see. Who do I want on the team? Well, who do I want to give up is the next question. I guess I technically don't need Aloth now, given that... Well, I don't know. Problem is, I don't know what kind of... Well, let's go ahead and remove Adair real quick.
See you when I see you.
So I can take a look at the character sheet. So, I'm Might and Constitution, so it looks like, given the circumstances, you'd be a pretty good frontliner. And then... high survival. Yeah, I guess we can try this arrangement. As much fun as it is to have Adair around, I think that's what would make sense to replace in this. Although, I do like having Adair, though. Alright, so Sagani's quest has been taken care of, so she's back over there. I want to bring her along. No, I do like having Sagani around, though, is the problem. Well, I do like having Adair along, though. We could try living without Durance for a little bit.
You walk your path, I'll walk mine.
Hey there.
Yeah, I think we'll try and manage with this. It's probably a little top-heavy. And probably not enough healing, but you know what? If I need to, I can always swap things out later, right? And then we'll head to Russetwood. And then, yeah, I think we'll call it here. So I think what I'm going to do next then is it looks like in order to resolve matters, it looks like the only one that I can awaken for whatever reason seems to be the old lady. And that worries me because I have a really bad feeling about the implications of that. But, I don't know. I'm going to have to mull over that exactly how I want to go about handling that. Huh, that caps lock was taken away. Either way, that is where I will call it. So, next week, next time I'm able to jump into this, we will see what lies within with respect to the bounties, see what I can find related to, what is it? No, see what I can find with respect to bounties, side quests, and all the like. See what see what kind of awakening can be done to get the information I need. And then after all that is done, well, things are gonna be... We'll see if we can actually get inside Durgan's battery. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. So for now, thank you all for watching. See you all later.